Why is this freezing? Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah. All right.
Good. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone?
Uh, Doing good-ish, I think.
Yeah. Are y'all are y'all prepared for the day?
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
What do you mean no?
I don't think I was prepared enough.
Prepared enough for the presentation today?
Yeah, but wait, are the presentations today? I thought they were.
Oh yeah, they are.
Okay, I was second guessing myself for a second.
No, you're good. You're good. I bet Garrett's finishing it up right now. Those who are going today, you have 30 minutes. I could give you a little 35 to make sure that everything is prepped, ready to go. And then we're going to dive into these projects. Okay.
And this will be also the time to send it through the Google Classroom.
Yeah. Or you can just send it to me via email. Because
All
I
right.
don't know how to. I don't know if I have your email.
it's impossible. Yes, you do, because it's on the updated syllabi on the Google Classroom. It is AARROYO@ntpa.org. It's a lot of A's, a lot of R's, a lot of O's, and one Y. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I do have it.
yeah you
Apparently,
do.
I do have it saved.
Well, if it's through Google, you have it, because it's a Gmail account. So you can send those to me, yes, through Google. If there's not any questions, I will put y'all into your breakout rooms, and then you could work on the accents or the execution. That's going to be the biggest thing too. It's going to be the execution part of this. Okay. Cool. Anything? No. Nothing. All right. I'll give you 30 minutes. And if you need something like more than that, then let me know. What is happening?
I think I sent it to you.
I'll double check.
I sent it to the NDPA one though. NDPA.org.
ntpa.org.
Yeah, that's the one I
That's
sent.
my only email.
I'm sorry. That's the only one I have.
No, I got it. Boom. Thank you. All right, great. I'm gonna put you in breakout rooms. So long.
I didn't know mine was so big.
Can
What were you saying?
you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give you 30 minutes to practice everything, make sure everything's all good. Before we actually start, if you could email me your presentation, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
All right, sweet. I'm gonna put you in a breakout room. Real fast. I guess I can't.
And then do I like tell you like to when to switch slides then? If you're like
Oh no, you're gonna share your
sharing the
screen.
screen. I'm sharing the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're sharing the screen with moi. I'm gonna put you in the room with Nora because for some reason I can't create another breakout group room. So I'm gonna send you in there with Nora. Oh, whoops. Nope, I wanted to assign Garrett to breakout room 1. I'm going to leave. All right, y'all. Hopefully that was good enough amount of time to sort of get things working and going. So we're going to dive in with Garrett first. So what you're going to do is you're going to share your screens with us, go through the presentation, go through the poems, and just be ready to stop here and there if I have some questions, especially when it comes to like the prosody and things like that. Okay, does that make sense? But I was looking through y'all's projects, and wow, I'm very, very, very impressed. So thank you so much for being as detailed as y'all were, and diving into. I mean, especially when the sounds, like that's the hardest part, right? Because ultimately, it's us listening to it audibly, so we could also learn it. Are there any questions at all before we begin? No? All right, Garrett, whenever you're ready, let's take it away, dude.
It says sharing your screen is disabled.
Yeah, right. Try it now. Yo, what's up?
Do you see the?
Yes.
Okay. Oh wait, one question before I start. Do you
No? Oh, yeah, what's up?
presentation in the accent or no?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
So the reason why I wanted to learn the Australian accent is mainly because I've always been fascinated about the accent and the sounding of the accent, and it always just had a really I don't know, it had a certain sound that I just always enjoyed with the accent. And that is mainly why I wanted to learn it. And also, Australia is such a beautiful place. The accent is most likely beautiful with it. So, yeah, that's why I wanted to learn the accent. There's a few random facts that I found off of some websites that will be in the sources at the end of the presentation.
Hey, Garrett, sorry, I hate to interrupt, but there's like a blue box. Does anyone else see that blue box that's covering the words and numbers?
Yes.
It's like to the right of the screen. That. Your cursor's on it.
This is you guys.
Ah, okay. Can you actually drag us to the, there we go. Thank you.
Okay. Do you want me to okay.
No, you're good. Continue.
So I found these random facts, and apparently in 2011, the main language that was spoken was obviously English, but homes also had Mandarin, Italian, and Arabic in their homes in 2011. But in 2004, they had over 200 to 300 different languages in Australia at the time, which is now brought down to about 70, and then but 20 are very not that many people have that 20%.
So with the 20% that are now endangered, like you're saying, is that just the dwindling of the amount of, I guess I would say, immigration and culture that's being brought into Australia? And so that's not influencing as much of the accent? Because those are some pretty high statistics on like the Mandarin. I know that there was a huge influx of Chinese migration in the past couple of years, and it's still pretty huge today. But I'm really fascinated about the Arabic one as well. So with it since 2004, that 200 is now dwindled to 70, and then the 20%. What's the endangered? Is that the Aborigines language, or is that just like? Do you have a specific accent that is in that 20% or in that 20 endangered range?
I didn't find what specific accent was. But I'm guessing just like the accents that aren't influencing the main Australian accent.
Right.
But I could be completely wrong. Um, uh, the main Australia doesn't have like an official designated like national like dress like wear. But like the main like iconic local styles include of like beach wear and like surf wear mainly. Uh, so to the posture, um, the jaw is not high or low. It is in the middle, like in your natural day-to-day good American English accent.
Hey, Garrett, I hate to stop you right here. Could you actually go back to that last slide?
Yes.
So,
Please.
you good. You put an alcohol.
Yeah,
put an alcohol statistic.
that was like a thing, like a funny like little fact that I found. Like Australia consumes significantly less alcohol um than like other places.
Yeah. No, that's actually really funny. I think it's a funny statistic. But I also love how, like, Great Britain, and actually, now that this is seeded from the Europe, Great Britain is its entire own entity, and like Ireland, they actually consume the most alcohol per capita of any other country. And then actually, that's actual right statistic is France does come in second, but we're actually like third. We actually consume quite a bit of alcohol in North America, and that's including like Canada and Mexico as well. But that's interesting. No, I thought it was really funny. That's really cool.
Okay, so to the posture, the jaw isn't high or low; it's neutral, just like your regular accent. Um, so it stays in the middle, and it's flowing through the complete center of the jaw. Um, there's no protrusion of the lips, and the cheeks really don't tense up that much. Only on certain like phrases and uh, times you speak. The tongue arches and cups in the middle to the back of the tongue. Uh, the tongue almost is always spread though, so it's mainly flattened out and just like taps at the top of your mouth. Um, there's really there isn't that much bunching, but there is bracing uh, on ing phrases. Um, uh, so like if I do bracing, ing, it's hitting the back of the mouth and bracing, and it's stopping the sound from coming out. So it's just a hard ing. The root of the tongue is more than most of the time is retracting. The root of the tongue is retracting a lot of the time. Um, the velum's sometimes raised, but almost always lowered. But the pharynx is widened more than likely. The accent does get into glottal, but the larynx is raised.
Nice.
It's sort of a balance between glottal and like right above glottal.
So if the blade of the tongue is resting on the molars, because you said it's spread,
Mhm.
what is the tip action? Is it post-alveolar on the top? Is it actually dental? Is it at the bottom where it's at near the genioglossus muscle? How is it in your I guess interpretation of the accent? Because again, when we were demonstrating a lot of like that spreading in class, some of us, the tip of the tongue was actually in the genioglossus muscle pointing down, And whereas like the S's we were doing, some of them were up. So post-alveolar, almost dental. So in that action, what is happening if the tongue is spread and the blade is resting on the molars? What is the tip of the tongue doing?
So what I've noticed
Mm-hmm.
is it's mainly resting like lower, and then it hits up on the dorsum in like, or not in the dorsum, but like right behind the tip of the tongue, to like right behind dental, so like alveolar area.
So the tongue, like you're saying, rests down, pointing towards the genioglossus muscle, but then you're saying that it hits post-alveolar at the top?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
like it's like full back and like going down, but it's just like when I'm spiking, it doesn't rest at the top
Right.
of the mouth. It mainly just rests just at the bottom, almost dental at the bottom.
Okay.
It's just resting right behind the teeth at the bottom. And then
Okay.
pops up, like just hitting the alveolar and post-alveolar.
So then you're saying the lips has no protrusion, and I agree with that. So the lips are not in, at least in the, sticking forward. What are the lips' action when in the accent?
The lips are almost like kind of widened and like staying, like they're not big, but they do just like stay kind of flat.
Yeah, I think
Like,
you did a great demonstration. I do think that do you remember the Latin word for the lips?
no, I do not.
The obicular oris, the lips, is actually spread almost like the tongue. It almost like mirrors the tongue action with that accent. So I think you're right. It is spread, and then it actually reflects quite a bit of the American accent, where it almost the mouth, because you had a great observation on the jaw height. It's very neutral, but if you are talking right, if you're doing the accent, it's almost pretty wide. It's widespread, but the posture and the jaw is pretty centralized. So I think that's a great demonstration. So the lips are spread, and it is mirroring in the action of the tongue. So job well done.
So moving on to prosody. The what I noticed is obviously the pitch is different for any person. Like if you're a female, you're not going to be like the same pitch as a male, maybe. But like if someone is living in like Australia, and then someone's living like in the red center of Australia, like they're just going to be surrounded by different cultures, and those cultures will most likely influence their pitch and rhythm of their accent more than likely. Um, uh, and the rhythm of the accent is just as like good American English, like normal day-to-day life. I really didn't find like any, like, I mean, there's a little bit of differences between like the rhythm of Australian and good American English, but a lot of like the rhythm stays the same throughout like both of the accents.
So what are some differences that you've heard from, Daniel Ricciardo, let's say, from Perth, from someone who's from Sydney, and then who's actually someone in that aberration like areas? Were you able to find or listen to any samples of those sort of accents?
I was able to listen to a little bit. I couldn't find that much.
Mm-hmm.
But the like people in like the aberration like area, I noticed speaked a little bit almost slower than like the people in the city. just like very subtly. But like the people in the city are just so used to uh, everything going so fast and not being able to like just like think and like just like slow down. And but they have like the people in basically the country of Australia, like in the country of Australia, um, they have time to slow down and like really dissect like almost what they're saying.
Yeah, and I think the overall blanket of this is a great term of the good American English, because it is almost really like westernized. So like especially in Sydney, you'll find more characteristics of the American accent than you actually would hear something in Perth, which is country, you know, where Daniel Ricciardo, for instance, and I use him specifically because he has a really good Perth accent, and he refuses, even though he lives in the States, he refuses to lose that accent because that's his sort of identity. And that's huge, especially when you're from English speaking countries, is your voice is your identity. And I think you did a really good note on it is actually Sydney, if we're going to be just general, is very much like the good American accent. um, and not only that, do you remember in the conversation that we had about like when voices stop changing? I'm familiar. Are you all familiar with that discussion we had? So we had it a while back. It was like in the beginning of class because we were talking about the pharynx, and because even in today's standards, we do hear a difference in between females and males, and sometimes not. And so the larynx is going to vary. But typically, a girl's voice stops changing between 16 to 18, but sometimes 21. Whereas men, our voices actually keep changing until we're 32. That's when it stops. Um, Unfortunately, that's why men have a longer singing career. And if you know anything about opera, tenors are the most valuable for singers because over time, your voice gets destroyed and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So you're either going to be a really big bass or a tenor. Same thing with females, right? You want to be a mezzo or you want to be a soprano. You're either going to have a really good voice box or you don't. But that you can't control, which is unfortunate. So that is very interesting, and it does change depending on where you're at in, especially Australia. If you're going to be really in the countryside, or you're actually going to be in sort of the metroplex, where it's going to sound incredibly different. Job well done. You go to the next slide if you want.
So moving on to punctuation. So this chart is for the closed vowel sounds. So the ones that are like at the front, all the way to the back, glottal to the larynx. So the first one is A, E, E, and so like obviously A, E, I, O, U, but the closeness and like more towards the front is E, E, I, A, I. And so it basically just starts at the front and then goes to the middle and then just goes to the middle and starts going down in the middle and then it goes to the back on I. Yeah.
So with the consonants, because that's one thing I'm looking for too, the consonant sounds like the THs, how stressed are they typically? So like
the stressing of like the TH sound, and they a lot of the Australian accent depends on the vowels, so it's really heavy on the vowels. But like in like if you're saying think, like if you're saying think, you what I noticed was a lot of the consonants are the same as like good American English, and like that's like since it's in the same placement, a lot of the consonant sounds stay the same throughout good American English and Australian. Um, but uh, it really like depends on uh like the word like
No,
almost.
I see what you're saying. I don't want you to keep fishing for like the answer. I think you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. So then my next question is, would you say there's a lot more fricative features than there are actually more like, let's say, stress or unstressed consonants with each word? Because I'd say in the United States, we don't necessarily stress. I mean, depending on who you're talking to, right? But the
Yeah.
overall term is I don't think we stress quite often on many of the consonant sounds. In fact, they're very short, but we have a lot of plosive, fricative features where, you know, Paul, Paul. It was very breathy, but the aw sound was more frequent with the plosive air than it was than, you know, Paul. You know, I think we have more fricative features and less stressful features in the consonant sounds. Would you agree that same thing applies to the Australian?
Most definitely, because like I um a lot of like the Australian accent, it's a lot of constant airflow, and more than half of the time, like if you're like stopping, it's mainly almost at the end of the sentence. It's not like throughout the sentence. um but uh I do agree it comes like hand in hand. Like there definitely are some times when you are when the Australian accent is stressing those um like th sounds, but uh a lot of it is fricative in the accent.
Cool. I agree.
Here are some demonstrations. So like uh the quick brown fox took 4 small sips of a strong coffee. Um, you really want to uh, you really want to go into uh, the you want to hit your punctuate like your punch words. So like the quick brown fox took 4 small sips of strong coffee. So like your punch words would be like brown fox and then sips and then coffee. So you if you hit those punch words, it really shows the accent well, and uh, yeah, it just shows the accent well. Um, Number three, carry these cheeses to the train before it's too late. Carry these cheeses to the train before it's too late. Um, uh, you like really want to just like hit the vowels and really make it like just like flow naturally, sort of. Are there any questions about like the accent?
Where would you place the A and carry? Carry.
Okay.
Uh, so it'd be carry these cheeses. So these
Mhm.
cheeses to the train station before. No, no, before it's too late. So carry these cheeses is actually in the same vowel placement. Carry these cheeses to the train
Mhm.
before it's too late. So one thing to think about too is where those vowels are being placed, because those are forward placing vowels. Airy, these, eases, eases, these, carry. So that's one thing to think about, especially when, you know, quick, not quick, quick brown fox took 4 small sips of strong coffee, right? So quick. I think you said it best where the vowels are going back forward. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is some of these you have to be careful with the A vowels because sometimes we won't say carry, but then look at if I say carry, I'm already in Cockney, so you have to be very careful whenever you are So it's carry these cheeses to the train station before it's too late. So knowing where all that lies, I think that's good. Let's go to the poems. Yeah.
Okay. What frosty land is this? How was its fate decided? Coal black mountains loom. Glassy pools reflect their huge queer forms. A bird-like woman searches slowly through the trees. Flocks through trimble sparrows clustered about blood-red barns. I feel the flashing claws of chalk white. Terror rips in at my breath. My courage fails. A furious hoarse voice whispers from the inky shadows. He knew his duty. We cannot be afraid. Fighting a fog of sudden nightmare visions. Savage lambs, forked-tongued horses, sleek udders, subtle as jazz. I struggle to recall the verse drama of old. My heart turns to ice.
Nice. So, great demonstrations. I think that the A's and R's are what's killer, and drama. So, if even in Australia they do the drama. So, in England, of course, they say drama. They add the er for some reason at the end, and it's literally a finesse. They do that as well. So, I struggle to recall this drama of all my heart turns to ice. So you're in the right placement, but I'll be wary of the A's and the R's. And so it would be like quick visions, not visions, visions. So visions, savage lambs. So it's actually higher forward with the I sound, like quick. And this is the practice of it. I thought that the project itself was phenomenal. I think you know exactly where that sweet spot is with the accent, so I got to commend you on that. And what did you find that, especially did an English speaking accent, was that easier to do? You think?
After doing like the English accents?
I mean, well, do you think that diving into being an English speaker, was it easier to
Mhm.
do an English speaking accent?
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah, I think so too. There's a lot of features, especially in the Australian accent, that we hear a lot in our accent as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this was good, man. Job well done. Job well done,
Thank
Garrett.
you.
Good job, good job, good job, good job.
And
Thank you for the sources. Yes. All right, Garrett, thank you so much for being the guinea pig. Now y'all know what I'm expecting. All right, Lorian.
All right. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Okay. It's right here. All right. Right here, let me get this. Oh, let me see if it's full screen or not. Is that full screen for you guys?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and nothing's being hidden, right?
Nothing's being hidden.
All right then. Let's do this. Okay. Woo. All right. So this is my accent project, by the way. All right. So for the cultural context stuff, for those who actually speak this way, it's mostly the scholars and the actors who speak this accent, because the standardized pronunciation was really invented rather than like recorded and naturally brought up. But Hanover is the closest pronunciation accent that is closest to this standard pronunciation accent. All right. For arts, hopefully I don't butcher all these names, but first of all, one of the art movements that originated in Germany was actually landscape art, and some famous paintings are The Large Blue Horses by Franz Marc and Abstraktes Bild by Gerhard Richter, and Diction. All right. Famous authors are Grimm brothers, as we all know them, Bertolt Brecht, who actually did the Three Penny Opera, and Thomas Mann, which is Death in Venice and Magic Mountain. Also, The Never-Ending Story was made in Germany. So yeah. For music, Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms were all German people, and also a famous song is 99 Luftballons, and Polka is a type of traditional folk music in Germany, and the German national anthem is called National Hymn. Fitting name. All right, food. It's most famous for currywurst, sausages, pretzels, and Black Forest Gâteau, but they also have a whole bunch of other cool stuff like Brockton and Kartoffelpuffer, or Kartoffelpuffer being a shallow fried pancake made from potato, egg, and flour, and of course a schnitzel. And the most popular alcoholic drink in Germany is beer, and the most popular non-alcoholic drink is coffee. So yeah. For sociology, about 75% of Germany's population are urban dwellers. They have an average working week about 35 to 40 hours, and they're actually one of the world's biggest producers of board games, including Settlers of Catan and Ticket to Ride.
Interesting. Job well done. I love these stats. So do you remember what I showed you last class?
Oh yeah.
What did I show you last class?
It was this German group that reminded you of Cirque du Soleil, and they were doing these Shakespeare poems in German. And
yes, that's one of the things. So Germany is huge in theater, and in fact, they've created many stepping stones in terms of abstract theater, existentialism, Dada, realism. And there's a form of theater that still lives presently today in Germany. Theater is nationally ran by the government there, and they have a ensemble group called the Berliner Ensemble, or the Berlin Ensemble, which is actually developed by the great playwright Bertolt Brecht. And you don't know him, you will know him soon enough, especially those who are graduating soon and are going to college. You will learn an entire course about this gentleman who essentially influenced a lot of physical theater and puppetry that you see today. But he's also created plays like, Mother Courage. If you ever heard of Mother Courage, it's probably like one of his most famous plays.
Yeah.
He also wrote Waiting for Godot. He's written quite a bit of these existential plays. But what's really important is that, one, to be a part of, especially this Berliner ensemble, you have to be German, but it's ran actually by an American named Robert Wilson, who actually went to Baylor University for directing. He actually runs the company. And he actually brought the first American, William Dafoe, to the stage and did a play with him. And it was like this huge thing because there was never an American ever. But what's actually huge in Germany is that's like a religion there. Theater to them is still a huge practice on learning, getting the news, and especially if it's a German company ran by an American, you can bet that there's a lot of Western influences. Huge. And not only that, their government, especially in how things are ran, is really more westernized than we've actually seen before. And we actually have some famous German actors here in Hollywood who are still working, but they're also German, and That's what's huge, especially when you're hitting. When we're gonna dive into the posture and knowing what Germany is like, not then, but now, is a huge difference. So I just wanted to, I wanted to add that, and y'all should all check out the Berliner Ensemble. If you've not
Yeah,
watched any of it, oh my goodness, you, the one who's studying German, I swear. Okay.
All right. All right then. Posture analysis. So the main articulators around are the teeth and the lips, and most of German speech is actually like low frontal, especially the post-alveolar region, instead of the Rhodey posture present in the German stereotypes in movies and all that. For jaw height, there's not a lot of opening of the mouth and not a lot of lip corner action. Well, there is a lot of lip corner action. That's not German right. Okay, so for the tongue arching section, no tongue arching. There is a little cupping in the front, but there's more movement on the tip of the tongue, which rests on the genial glossus muscle. There is a whole lot of tongue spreading. And because of that, the blade of the tongue rests comfortably at the back of the molars. No tongue bunching though, because it's a spread tongue. There is tongue bracing in the mid-dorsum in the back all the way to the root of the tongue. Also, there's lots of tongue root advancement, well, no, retraction, and that helps make pharyngeal and guttural sounds like k and k sort of sounds. For the raising and the lowering of the velum, there's a whole lot, same as above concept, and then not a lot of pharynx action, because it's not really an epiglottal voice action that happens. It's more like pharyngeal sort of action. And for the settings, pharyngeal, right?
Pharyngeal. That sounds like a song that you would sing.
Right. All right. For the settings, it's more breathy since they rest heavily on the steadiness of the breath. So yeah.
So, can you give me just an example of what like an English word would be, or a word would be in the German accent?
Let me see. I think more like, I think it kind of gets like moved in with sort of the K sound as well, where the K sound and that sound kind of interchange with the word, like the k, k, k sort of sounds. Like
So the
like how you might say chutzpah sort of stuff.
chutzpah. Well, the thing is, that's different. That chutzpah is not German. It's actually Hebrew.
Right.
So
right.
that's the thing. So if you're, even then it's your. So even if you're doing German, right?
Right.
Where do you find the sounds?
Sort of sounds. I believe you would like courage, I think, right?
Courage? They would say courage. Courage.
They would say courage. Okay.
Courage.
Courage.
Yeah. I think it's too far back. Because
too glottal? Okay.
I think it's too glottal. Yeah.
Right.
Because that voice isn't speaking from the back, like in Hebrew.
Right. Right.
In Arabic, is all in the back. That's not German. Is not all the way into the back. Even if you're speaking German, so ich, that's almost Velum. Ich liebe Leidensfach. So even then, it's more velum than it is actually pharyngeal and almost glottal. Does that make sense?
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
that's a great place to start, because the only way you're going to get to that almost back part is if you go way back to where you keep pushing forward to where you know where that lies. But that's a great example.
Right. Sort of stuff. All right. Prosody. This is a stress timed accent, which means that they take an approximately equal amount of time between stress syllables, and so the timing is more irregular than, say, other accents. like some sort of an Oriental accent. I didn't look at that. Okay. Ignore that section. Okay. For the typical rate of speech, the stress in German is usually falls on like the first syllable that's said. So in glassy pools instead of the glassy pools sort of stuff. And yes, there's the characteristic pitch contours, which is that it's very sharp and to the point, and so not quite as melodious as, say, RP or English, well, American English, since there's a lot of little breaks between words, which is somewhat known as staccato talking. So, yeah.
That's good. I agree.
All right. Next section. These are the, and again, ignore the not entire chart section. Okay, so
No, isolations are key.
isolations are key. Yes. So it's going to be like t sounds and k, but also f and v and s and z, and then what I said earlier, the k. No, that's too close. This one, right? And then for the vowels, it doesn't really focus that too much on the vowels. It focuses more on the consonants.
Mhm.
But this would be, these are just the vowels I think are shown the most. The E, and then the eh, I believe, and then being present also in American English accent, and then the ah, and then oo and o. And then for specific changes, the D's usually become T's, especially the end and start of words. So drinking and dancing can be hard on your credit card becomes drinking and dancing can be hot on your credit card, with the D in the middle of credit staying the same. The W and W sounds, words with those sounds become V sounds, where was and was become vuz and vat respectively. Also, the normal V sound usually becomes a F sound, as in vast becoming fast. The sounds becomes or, and then the sounds becomes z or v. Also, the ending ing sounds like become k sounds. So it's, instead of thinking, it's thinking. Generally, lots of the other sounds just become unvoiced, and so yeah.
Great job. That was awesome. Let's do the demonstrations.
All right. So again, speaking about the specific changes earlier, for I feel the flashing claws of chalk-white terror rip at my breath, it would become I feel the flashing claws of chalk-white terror rip at my breath. So the breath at the end would be more of an F sound instead of the S sound because it changes often and it would make more sense. But for the do you fear death, fair one, to you fear death, fair one, again, it would need to be F at the end instead of this sound because otherwise it would be like Tess? Who's Tess? Sort of stuff. So then, I'm going to do the Dali's Last Hurrah poem, or Tally's Last Hurrah. What frosty land is this? How was its fate decided? Coal black mountains loom. Glassy pools reflect his huge queer forms. A bird-like woman searches slowly through the trees. Flocks of trembling sparrows cluster about blood-red barns. I feel the flashing claws of chalk-white terror rip at my breath. My courage fails. A furious hoarse voice whispers from the inky shades. He knew his duty. We cannot be afraid. Fight ink a fog of sudden nightmare visions, savage lambs, fork-tongued horses, sleek otters, subtle as jazz. I struggle to recall the first trauma of old. My heart turns to ice.
Nice. I'm gonna stop you there. That was lovely. I do want to hear you do this again. I think your transmittable sounds of the V's and T's are absolutely right, especially when you're trying to sound really, really German.
Yay.
But what I want you to do is to try to sound American. So don't be so intense and abrasive with
That's
each
right.
word, but really make it melodic, right? So if you're going to do the V's, which I have spoken to a few Germans, and I've never heard them take the what. What are you saying? Because that's almost sound Polish.
Right.
So if you say what, so what frosty land is this? How was its fate decided, right? So what I would do is I would try to make sure that you're trying to sound more American than actually trying to be very German, right? Because
Right,
it's easy to do this and making sure that you sound like you are German, but you sound see, I hurt my voice doing that, demonstrating that. But to sound, instead of tense, to actually be more conversational, you know, because if you actually have conversation with Germans, they're actually very specific on sounding more articulate than being like this, because
May have accidentally went into the stereotype version there.
and that's okay, because remember, we got to go so far so we can pull you forward, so then you're more conversational, yeah? So let's go ahead and do the beginning just a little bit. So what frosty land is this? How is fate decided? Cool black mountains loom. Okay? So just do the first 3 sentences for me, please.
What frosty land is this? How was it fated decided? Coal black mountains loom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the whole point, if you do any other accents, they all want to sound normal, but in order to do that, right, you have to make sure that you're going so far, so then you can put it back, and then you are more conversational, because they're not going to sound like that. No one's going to sound at all like that when they're doing their accent, Does that make sense?
Right.
Job well done, everyone. Job well done, job well done, job well done. Everyone else is going to go on Monday, okay? Y'all are amazing.
Okay.
Great work, great work, great work. I love the detail, the specificity, and just the action of just going for it, because it's the only way you're going to learn the accent, right? It's just going.
Yes.
So mazel, 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 everyone. Beautiful work, beautiful work. Let's do our ritual, and y'all are free to go. Y'all have a beautiful week.
All right.
Baby.
Bebe.
Science.
Science.
Hi, Evan.
Hi, Evan.
Hi, y'all.
Hi, y'all.
Bubble.
What a bottle. What a bottle. What a bottle.